Hey everybody, it's Ken Davenport. Welcome back to my home office. Is it starting to look familiar? This is episode number nine of the Producer's Perspective Live, and we have a great guest tonight. We have Jen Tepper. You're gonna love Jen. If you don't know her, if you do know her, get ready. We're gonna have a good time, and be prepared for her to bust you on some kind of musical trivia. Actually, Jen, I think she's watching backstage. Think of a good trivia question you can ask everyone, and we'll see. We'll give away something. We'll give away a Be a Broadway Star board game to whoever can answer your question right the first. I just made that up on the spot. So think of a good question, Jen. We'll play musical theater trivia. No one can best Jen. I dare you to even try. A few things. First of all, I think I wore this shirt the other day. So I think this is the second time you may be seeing this shirt, but little secret. Today I am wearing the, can't even get it out. Today I am wearing the Livestreamers mullet. The Livestreamers mullet. You know what that means? Yes, you do. It means business up top and sweatpants down below. That is the Livestreamers mullet, dress shirts, sweatpants, and actually a sock with a hole in it. I mean, it's looking good over here, looking good. So forget about that. Thanks for being here. Just a couple reminders, we're doing this for the Actors Fund. There's a great tip jar on my Facebook page. Give a little, talk a little, pick, give a little more. Name that musical, by the way. I just paraphrased the musical. Speaking of musical theater trivia, who's got it? Who's got it? Anybody? Anybody? It's coming up, Revival on Broadway with this no-name hack of a star. Anyway, you'll get it. So give a little to the Actors Fund if you can. Don't forget our hashtag, stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. I was just like reading the headline of CNN a couple moments ago, glimmers of hope. They, of course, also expect the next several weeks to be very, very hard for this country, and especially the city. If you're in New York City, hunker the heck down. Do stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, but they're seeing glimmers of hope. You know why? Because the majority of people out there are doing this. So keep your social distance and stay home. We've been playing around in some of our spare time, and with the tech of this thing, we're getting the hang of the StreamYard thing. We got the sound right? You got the sound right? Oh, look, my wife is watching, and she just gave me the, I don't even know what emoji that is, of like, how dare you show your sock? Anyway, sorry, sweetheart. I showed my sock. So we were playing around with the StreamYard today, and look what we figured out we can do. Mary, hit it. I thought I was going to appear there live. Ooh, on a beach. These are apparently all the places all the places we're going to go when the travel bans are lifted. Yes, golly, I'd love to go back to the Eiffel Tower. I thought I was going to appear live talking when that thing was happening. Mary, no, Weisberg's on. Mary really led me astray. She led me astray. But we'll have that out later. She's doing a fantastic job, right? So I guess that's about it for the green screen idea. Let's get on with today's guest. Oh, by the way, I have a very special surprise at the end of this. I have something you're going to want to see, so stick all the way around and through the live stream. Jen Tepper is on today, Broadway historian. She's written books. She's going to tell you she's writing a book right now. We're going to get into that, The Untold Stories of Broadway, volume like 147. I once told her, you shouldn't write a book about Broadway. What an a-hole. I really did tell her that. She once tweeted that. Someone told me not to do this, and I did it. And I was like, Jen, was that me? And she was like, yeah, that was you. I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So she's going to tell you all that about that book and how you can get it. Actually, how you can get it for free right now and participate in a cool book club. She is a producer at 54 Below and the programming director. She produced Be More Chill, that massive, massive social media sensation from last year. She is the one. She is the only. She is Jen Tepper. Let's bring her up, but not at the Eiffel Tower. No, not at the Eiffel Tower. God dang it, Mary. Bring in Jen Tepper.
That was the best intro of all time, and you showed your holy sock. Thank you, Kevin.
I did. Holy sock. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to chat with you.
It's so good to see your smiling face with all this craziness going around.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
So let's get something out of the way right now. How many cast recordings have you listened to since this began?
You know, I've listened to so many, and it has felt like a throwback to growing up in Florida where I couldn't see shows just like right now and just had the cast album. So it's really felt like nostalgic in a nice way. I did like a countdown of my top 40 favorite albums from high school on Instagram. And all these like younger Broadway fans were like, I've never heard of this, which just made me really happy to share some of the love of the albums.
What's your Instagram so people can follow you? It's great.
@Tep on Instagram and Twitter.
Mary will throw, if she's not slacking off and throwing up photos of you at the Eiffel Tower or something, she'll throw your Instagram handle into the live comments. What was the #1 album?
I don't think I could pick a #1, which is why I had to do top 40. Someone was like, oh, do your top 10. And I was like, I'm going to do a top 40 because I just needed to be like wall to wall, you know?
What was the greatest discovery, if you will, to quote an Elton John song? You're like, oh, that one. I really love that one. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
You know, I do still listen to all the albums pretty frequently. I have an old-fashioned iPod I like to listen to them on. But reliving Elegies is always special. You know, reliving that album, which was like one of my favorites and is on YouTube in its entirety. So, you know, you can listen to it on YouTube. It was fun to just like have, most of the discovery was honestly having people tweet back at me or Instagram with their favorite songs or like, I've never heard this and I love it now kind of stuff.
So tell me where, my first question to everyone has been lately, where were you when the virus hit the fan? Like, what was happening? What was going on when you knew, like, oh shit, this is going to be different and I better go home?
I have not answered this question yet, and I have been thinking about it a lot. I was standing behind Lin-Manuel Miranda on the set of the Tick, Tick, Boom movie on my first day on set. So that is where I will always know that I was when Broadway was shut down, when it was like, hey, let's have a call, 54 Below is going to be canceled. Like, all of those things, I was literally standing behind his director's chair as he directed the movie.
First of all, how much were you fangirling out about being on that set? And also trying to be professional. It's like, you're like a big time Broadway producer, you're an author, you're a historian, you're all these things. But deep down, I know how much at the time you must have been like biting your lip going like, this is the most amazing thing that's happening.
Yeah, I fully was like, this is the greatest day ever. And it was such a weird, you know, obviously a weird day. And it was incredible. It was incredible. One of the coolest things I've done during the quarantine was I dug back into my Jonathan Larson files and I made everyone working on the movie like a mixtape, so to speak, of like Jonathan Larson songs for the apocalypse. He wrote a song called The End of the World that no one had ever heard. And I listened to it at the library years ago. And just like, you know, being able to spend time doing stuff like that while we're all going through this has been very cool. But that day on the movie set, I spent 2 hours on a conference call with everyone at 54 Below in like the Tick, Tick, Boom catering section of the, you know, where we were canceling everything and deciding what to do in this crazy situation at like the first day that it all kind of hit the fan.
Tell everyone why you were on the set of Tick, Tick, Boom and your relationship with the Jonathan Larson family and the catalog and all of it. So we get
I am the historian consultant on the film. It's real. I don't know why I used air quotes. It's just like an interesting title that people don't normally have on movies. But I basically, you know, am kind of there as the Jonathan Larson, you know, authority. I don't have glasses on though. But I have done a lot of research on him to do the Jonathan Larson Project, which was this live show and concert I put together a couple years ago, which we're actually looking at some next steps for as well. So. You know, I come to it, a lot of Jonathan's amazing like family and friends I've gotten to talk to have, you know, been like, oh, you know more than we do. And it's just a weird, you know, dynamic being like the historian of his stuff who never knew him, but has spent a lot of time with, you know, him in that way.
Does anyone know more than you do when it comes to musical theater history? That is really the question.
So, you know, there's a lot of experts out there. I will say when you said that thing about the trivia question, which I didn't know about in advance that you were going to ask me to say that, I immediately thought of a trivia question, which is insanely hard. And I'm excited to stump everyone later.
Great. You should hit it now just in case, and then we'll roll back. So here comes the trivia question. Everybody listen in, close, go.
I have spent the past couple of days working on the Studio 54 chapter of my next book. So my question is, how many years did it take for Studio 54 to have a hit Broadway show?
Wow, that is tough. Okay, we'll let people think about that in about the good news is you guys, maybe we'll just wait for this quarantine to be over until you get that right, because that's a tough one. So awesome. So, okay, you're canceling all the stuff at 54 Below and moving it. And you're also doing some interesting things, though, speaking of live streams online. So tell us how you're making the most of this situation.
Yeah, so one of the crazy things about 54 Below, and I'm the creative and programming director, is that canceling a show with so many, every theater company, every production's going through, involves like one set of people, and canceling a month of 54 Below shows involves 300 shows and 300 people. So the process of like the jigsaw puzzle of rescheduling everything and talking to all those artists and figuring out how to reschedule, and none of us know obviously how long this is going to go on for, has been a project. But immediately we got started on 54 Below at Home, which we're live streaming shows that we have in the archive that we've never been able to stream in full. And actually, I feel like the most special part of this has been live tweeting those kinds of things. It's like the best parts of live tweeting. It's none of the like snark and anger of some of that people do with the live musicals or the Tonys, where it's become not as fun because nobody's being an asshole right now. I'm sorry, I said asshole. I don't know if I can say that. I just said it twice. Okay, but live tweeting, the first night we kicked it off with Joe Iconis and George Salazar, because obviously they're my close friends, and I was able to get a yes from them really quickly, and just being able to like really watch it with everyone at home and live tweet it was so fun. They've all been really cool so far. So we have more coming up that have not been announced yet that I'm working on with our whole marketing team. But those have been like a really cool part of the quarantine.
So these are shows that were recorded in the past that you've just said, hey, can we stream this? And they were like, yeah, sure, it's in the bank.
Yeah, we have an archive remotely that we're able to access of just like a random smattering of shows. And it's certainly not everything, but we have that archive. And, a lot of them, people have seen a couple of videos on YouTube, but not the whole thing. And just being able to watch the whole thing in that way at one time is very cool. So there's a lot of good ones coming up.
Would you cut off your right arm if the Lincoln Center Library for the Performing Arts would start streaming all of the stuff that is in their archive?
So many people have been tweeting about that, and I'm kind of like, I don't think anyone realizes how impossible that would actually be. Like, the amount of content and how great this content is that we have is so good that like there's so much out there already. But yes, that would be amazing. Really, I just want to see Shuffle Along. I want to sit in my living room and watch Shuffle Along. That's what I want.
Really? Shuffle Along. That's the one that of all the Lincoln Center Library, if you could have one.
I'm pointing at it wrong behind me, but yes, it would be Shuffle Along.
That's a good question for a lot of people. Like, if you could grab one thing archived at the Lincoln Center Library, what would it be to watch over and over?
My answer's also stupid because I saw Shuffle Along 4 times because I loved it so much. I would actually pick something I didn't see probably, but
I thought it might be Hands on a Hard Body.
Oh, but I saw that a lot of times. So when people are like, what would you do with Comps in a Time Machine? I try to be an asshole and say like the Black Crook. I don't know. I should come up with what's your real answer?
Oh, God. I always say that I don't have an easy answer either. I always say that I think West Side Story is probably the best musical ever written, created, because I don't think there's anything else that combines book, music, dance, like all of it in such a perfect way. It doesn't mean I want to sit through it every day. I don't know. That's hard. Starlight Express?
You're good. Starlight Express.
I love Starlight Express.
Oh,
I do love Starlight Express.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun, but for like a week.
When we were going to London to see Be More Chill, Joe Iconis and I spent like 2 weeks pre-gaming just by listening to Starlight Express. We just love Starlight Express.
Listen, I saw the touring company in Baltimore, Maryland, and I still do in fact, I will tell everyone a little something. So I do some work with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and we were doing Unmasked at Paper Mill Playhouse recently. And we were talking, the show was in previews and Andrew was there, and we were talking about, and we were just kind of riffing at that point, like, Andrew, there's just so hard to pick the songs. And out of nowhere, or actually not out of nowhere, out of my passion, I was like, you know what I miss? I just wish there was more Starlight. I mean, I want some I Am the Starlight. The next day in the entr'acte, he put in I Am the Starlight.
I love that.
So that's one of my favorite moments of late.
Love that.
So what else how are you taking advantage of this time? Are you working on the next volume of your book?
Yeah, so basically the Untold Stories of Broadway is going to have 6 volumes to get through all of the theaters. And I wrote the first 3 volumes in such quick succession in like 2013, 14, 16. And for 4 years, I've been like, all I want to do is have the time and the bandwidth and the energy to like finish volume 4, which I've done most of the interviews for. I've done a lot of the research, but it has been impossible to kind of, it's been okay. Like I could carve out time, but it was never the kind of like focused, dedicated time that I needed. And so by like the 3rd day of this quarantine, I was like, let's open this file. And being able to have just like the space to go down rabbit holes and, not be like, oh, I have to rent 54 Below, or, oh, I have to go to this party, but really be able to be like, I'm going to do whatever I want for the next 5 hours. And that's going to be writing about the Mint stuff, but maybe I'll watch the Tony Awards. And the writing is just so much better when you have the freedom to do that. I actually was once like sick for a week randomly, like a couple years ago, and spent the whole time just like listening to 1960s bootlegs I hadn't listened to before, and ended up doing all this stuff because of that time. I mean, you never know. I feel like I just like want to be bored. So the good stuff comes from like being bored. And so the Studio 54 chapter I've been working on for the last 3 days, and I made this incredible discovery of this show called The Medicine Show. Have you ever heard of that? No one's ever heard of that.
No.
So The Medicine Show was the last show to play at Studio 54 before it closed for 58 years. It was like the final show in the 40s. And it is a show about the need to have universal health care. It's like this crazy take. I know. So basically the Federal Theater Project did these living newspaper projects during the Great Depression to put artists to work. And basically this was the only commercial venture that tried to copy that, where they took real life stories from the newspaper and turned them into theater. And it was this show about how many people die from lack of access to healthcare. And all the critics were like, this is essential viewing. This is like a crazy kind of theater we've never seen before. And it closed very quickly anyway, just like for various reasons. I fell down this like huge rabbit hole about The Medicine Show, which, will be in the next book, which nobody has ever heard of. And that kind of thing has been nice to like just nerd out for a while with all the stuff going on and focus on some of that.
So I want to just get into that a little bit. So there's a lot of really bad shit happening right now. Even when you see glimmer of hope, you keep reading the article and it's just not great. And it's not gonna be great for a long time. How do you stay positive during all that and really do, just as I've said, how do you not just binge Tiger King?
Weirdly, I have not been able to watch movies or TV that much yet. I don't know what it is. Like different people have different things to distract them, but we don't have control over a lot of things right now. And so I feel like controlling the things we can, which is like stay home, check on your family and friends, do something that makes you feel happy, whether that's writing or whether that's watching Tiger King, whatever it is. I kind of like being able to go, okay, like I can't leave my apartment. What am I going to make for dinner? I can't leave my apartment. What am I going to do for these 4 hours? It's going to be fun. It made me think about, this is so weird, but kids who wear uniforms in school are always like, it's freeing because you have one thing taken care of. So that like you're going to pick your earrings or whatever that is. Maybe that's a stupid metaphor, but I just feel like with all the horrible things going on, you can call your senators, you can pay attention to what's going on. You can do all this. And then you have time that, is for you. And just being able to have that choice is something we should all take advantage of.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. I mean, there's so much that we can't control right now, but we've been shut in, if you will. And we are not in prison, although it may feel that way. We have access to things, right? So we should take advantage of that time and control what we can control, even if that's, and by the way, I've obviously been preaching to everyone, like, write the book right now, do the things, if you learn a language, but also if like organizing your closets, if that's what makes you feel good, organize your damn closets. Like whatever it is.
I also think, for some people it's like writing or doing the thing. And for some people, like if it is valuable to your brain to incubate and like listen to a bunch of cast albums, read a book, watch a movie, if you're going to be more productive or better afterwards because of those, it's choose your own adventure. For me, I feel like sometimes it is hard to focus on like something like writing when there's so much horrible stuff going on. But once you really get into it, it's so rewarding to like be able to escape into that for a little while.
And tell us the book club. You're doing an online book club right now. So you're doing lots of different things to take advantage of this time. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Broadway World asked me if I would do like a weekly, they're doing a book club with my first volume of Untold Stories of Broadway where people are reading a chapter each week and then we nerd out about it and they can ask questions. So being able to kind of do that with the first book, which I wrote when I was 26, and then being able to write the new book at the same time has been pretty cool. But also, you know, this has been such an extraordinary time of people connecting on the internet. I just made a video yesterday or the day before, who knows anymore, for a production of Be More Chill that got shut down. That can't happen. You know, I made a video answering a bunch of their questions. And one of the first instincts I had after, you know, the shutdown was like the Musical Theater Showcase 2020 thing that I started, which is, you know, people whose showcases are canceled posting their performances and tagging them so that when this is all over, you know, we'll have all of those online. So I've been talking to a bunch of people about organizing that as well. It's just been cool to not only be like, oh, I'm on a Zoom with all my cousins, but also be like, how can the community connect during this time? And the book club thing has been like a very cool part of that. I'm drinking out of a New York City Center cup. Yay.
You know what I love also about like these live streams? I've been on so many conference calls and Zoom calls with all sorts of different companies and organizations, and everyone's just like, it's the best. It's just so, because for a while everyone was like this, and it's like, no, F this. I'm just gonna, I would do that at a conference table. Like, why not? And you get to drink out of City Center cups.
Yeah.
What about producing? You had some pretty big success with a couple shows there and getting them to Broadway, including Be More Chill. Will we see another Jen Tepper-led production?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely working on stuff. I mean, a lot of that is obviously, you know, question marks in certain ways because of what's going on right now. But one of the things I also have been working on during this is we have an album of Broadway Bounty Hunter that is coming out, producing that. So, you know, there'll be news on that very soon. But we've all been like editing, mastering all of that during this time as well, which has been a cool way to like have that live on.
And the next book, the book you're writing now is volume 4? 4. So you have two more to go after this.
Yes. Got to get to all the theaters. And also, like, when I look at the document on my computer where everything is like saved, I have so much material on lost Broadway theaters and trying to fit that all in. So there'll be 6 eventually, but it's going to be a puzzle to fit everything in.
So you also have studied, you study all these flop musicals, you study the great ones. Of the musicals that haven't worked, so all the musicals that you would put in that category of flop, what's the one thing that they have in common that you think contributed to their early demise?
That's a great question. I feel like there's maybe not like one thing. With a lot of them though, it's, you know, people like ahead of their time is simplifying in so many ways. But one of my favorite underappreciated musicals is The Human Comedy, which, you know, is this great Galt McDermott score, who, you know, he obviously wrote Hair and Two Gentlemen of Verona. And that show, I saw a reading of it somewhat recently that I just was like, oh, if people saw this now, they would be blown away. And so a lot of it's just like, you know, there's certain factors in any musical, it's alchemy. So like that don't come together, that can come together if something's tried again. So much of the time it's just like circumstantial, obviously. And Merrily We Roll Along is my favorite show of all time. And like, you know, I'd say underappreciated musical, which you make fun of me for. But it's like, it just feels wrong to call something like that a flop. It feels wrong to call all of them flops.
It's true. It's true. I use the F word. And I love that, you know, I make fun of you for calling it underappreciated, but I love it because it's such a positive spin on it. Yeah. Which is fantastic and exactly what I'd expect from you. So the one show that of all those underappreciated musicals that you would dream about seeing a revival of would be that show?
Comedy is one of the ones I always say, but honestly, what's great is like whenever I'm, you know, like at a bar with a friend and they're like, I was asked to maybe direct an encores, or I was asked to do something at the York, and they're like, what show should I do? I feel like I always say a different show based on who I'm talking to because of the like Rolodex in my head of underappreciated musicals and matching them up with people that I think would do cool things with them. The fact is, like writing the books, you start scrolling, like I'm, you know, on the IBDB page for The Imperial, which is the chapter I'm working on now. And you're like, oh, great, hundreds and hundreds of shows. So it's not like there's like, you know, there's not 3 flop shows. I said the word there. I said that, the bad word. There's so many. I mean, it's unlimited. I was reading today about Too Many Girls, which was like a Rodgers and Hart show that introduced Desi Arnaz to the world. And then he did the movie, and that's how he met Lucille Ball. And the show is like, it would not be able to be revived today for so many reasons, but it's got so much good stuff in it. And between that and the medicine show, I'm just like, I'm all over the new flops that I'm learning more about this week.
What's your favorite theater to see a show in?
Do you know what? When I keep getting at like, what's the first show you're going to see after quarantine? I keep being like, I'm going to pick based on the theater. I love seeing stuff at the Winter Garden because I just can pretend that like I'm watching Follies, you know. What's your favorite Broadway theater? I don't know this.
So you can pretend you're watching Follies. I love it. You know what? My favorite theater is actually the first Broadway theater I ever sat in. And I never think to say this is my favorite theater because frankly, no one is ever in it that often anymore because it's the Majestic. And that theater is like, it's stunning. You know, we all talk about loving the Richard Rodgers because of the stadium seating. The Majestic has the same thing, but we just forget about it because once you've seen Phantom, when's the next time you're going to, like, it's just been there forever.
Totally.
And I've just been lucky enough to been in that theater a few times and been like, this feels intimate, yet it has a second balcony. Like, it's a good one.
Yeah. Being there for the Hal Prince Memorial, I was looking around and being like, this theater, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And the Broadhurst, I think, is the other one. That's a good one.
Love the Broadhurst.
So anything else you're doing during this time period? Anything else fun?
Well, I guess related to that, you know, I've been working on this edition of If It Only Burns a Minute to celebrate the underappreciated musicals of Hal Prince. We've done so many of those concerts and we've never done a themed one. So it was supposed to be in April, but we rescheduled it for July and we're hopeful we'll be able to do it then. So it's a ton of like original cast members of his shows. I've been digging deep into a lot of his musicals that, can you believe there's like a Hal Prince, Michael John LaChiusa musical that was at the Public that was never recorded? Did you see The Petrified Prince?
I know about The Petrified Prince. I did not. Wait.
You might.
Michael John?
Yeah.
What's the Jason Robert Brown? Did he do The Little Prince?
I don't know. I so many musicals, but Jason Robert Brown did work on it. He was in the music department for the show.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
There was another thing that Jason did as well. But anyway, go.
So
please.
Just the fact that there's a public theater musical, it has like a crazy list of stars. It was like one of those like Mary Poppins bags of actors, and it's never been recorded. And so learning more about that and being like, oh, let's do a bunch of numbers and show people what Hal Prince and Michael John were doing at the Public. Like, it's been cool to dig into that as well. Yeah, just staying busy with lots of that stuff and staying occupied.
All right, let's go to some questions from, oh, look, my composer from getting the band back together. Mark Allen is here. Look at all the great people on board. Yes, I know, Shannon. I got New Jersey. I put Pennsylvania. That was a typo. It's fixed now. I'm going to questions, and I'm just seeing all these comments basically telling me how much I screwed up.
The internet.
When the craziness ends, how do you think the restart will begin? Like, do you think it's going to be a giant parade? Like, what the hell are we going to do when it's ready to go?
It was so crazy. We were talking about this today with 54 Below stuff because theater's going to have to rehearse first. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be interesting to see how that's coordinated for the comeback. Nothing like this has ever happened. Like, I've looked up the 1918 flu and Broadway. There's no precedent. So I think it'll be, hopefully it'll have to be like a ramp up. I don't know if it's going to be able to be like a parade with every theater full. I think we're going to figure it out a little bit more gradually. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. I think when this started, I being a data-driven guy, like when we first heard that something was happening and something was coming and it wasn't so great, I started to look at, okay, it's not affecting us right now. It's affecting other places. It's in China. It's starting to go other places. I was like, oh, this is SARS, right? So I started tracking, and I actually did this. I looked at the grosses the year that SARS impacted. During the period when the CDC said it started and when it ended, I looked at all the grosses and I compared it to the year before. And we found that the grosses were flat. Now, so you could argue that they should have been more, but they flatlined. They were the same thing as the year before because of SARS. So I wrote this blog that was like, hey, everybody, this is what happened last time. So let's cross our fingers and say, and literally, I wrote it, and within 48 hours, the situation changed so much that I couldn't so outdated that I couldn't post it because it was very clear that this was going to, and we weren't even shut down yet.
Right.
So I wrote the other day that I think it's going to be a gradual comeback for sure. I'm expecting places like 54 Below, you will be open before Studio 54 is open.
Right. It's hard to know exactly, but it's possible. I mean, that at the very beginning of this, before we understood the scope of it, I was like, oh, maybe off Broadway will be able to happen and Broadway won't, you know, like,
That's what I know, yeah.
yeah.
And it'll be like the stagehand strike in 2007, and off Broadway could be booming as a result, strangely. Okay, Hannah Kimball. My name is Hannah. I'm a junior at OCU, Oklahoma City University. I have been there. Thanks for doing this. Someone wants to be a theatrical producer, dream being commercial. What were some steps that you took that helped you achieve that goal at such a young age?
This is the best question of all to be asked right now, because the best thing that I did was observe other people producing like in a hands-on way, and you were the person I watched most of all. So being able to like work for producers and like really see the nitty-gritty of every part that goes into it before you do it yourself. Like I, you know, sitting in ad meetings myself as a producer, I think of a million times I was in ad meetings with you. So yeah, I think that I'm so glad I didn't do it even earlier, and that I like just observed a lot, both from reading books and being a theater nerd, and from like getting to be in those rooms, especially on Godspell.
Yeah, we did a lot of crazy things on that show. Do you remember all the marketing stuff that we came up with that you executed? What's one of the favorite marketing things you've done on any show? It doesn't have to be Godspell or anything, but any of the initiatives you did on Be More Chill or anything.
Yeah, you know, I feel like, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but the Godspell cast of 2032 is like eternal. That's the thing that always comes up, which was your idea to have like after a performance of Godspell, to have a curtain call performance with all the like miniature versions of each cast member. We had this open call at the theater that you know, had us coordinate, and 1,000 kids auditioned for us, and Gaten Matarazzo was Jesus. And that whole cast of kids, like I've kept in touch with so many of them. They've all gone on to like be extraordinary people and do cool things, but just that experience and how that brought the cast together with those kids, like all of that, very cool. It's on YouTube, you know, people. If
I'm darting all over the place because I'm on my second monitor here, and Mary, I just chatted you the link to the Gospel Cast of 2032, so throw that in there. Yeah, that was, and frankly, I couldn't have pulled that off without you for sure. That thing has like, you know, there's a ton of views on that thing now.
Yeah,
it's pretty great. That's actually one of the small ones, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the real secret is, yeah, it was my idea, but I stole it from the Weislers back in 1994 or whatever.
You kept saying they did like a version of this with 1984 Grease, and we couldn't find it. I still have never found evidence of that. I think you might have dreamed it.
No, it happened.
Okay.
You know why I know this? Because Seth Rudetsky was the rehearsal pianist for it, and he and I bonded over Carrie. We were like just killing time, and all that we were talking about were bootlegs of Carrie. Okay, let us. Tweet seats. Someone remembers the tweet seats from Godspell. I love it.
Is it Stephen? Controversy.
Oh God, that was a controversy. Jen Cody yelled at me on Twitter. So let's just throw one more thing up here, just because I love it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So many comments pouring in. Where is it? Someone just said, please produce my musical. That's all it was. So where is that? It was Ragdoll. Anyway, if you can find that, Mary, throw that up there just because it's fun. Kathy Gilmore says, don't, there we go. Just, I love it. Had to ask. You are so there. That's a very hip way to say it. I love it. Give us the answer to the trivia question. How many years did it take for there to be a hit at Studio 54?
71. Can you believe that theater survived? It had 71 years, no hit show. A lot of those years, it was not a Broadway theater, but a lot it was. So 71.
A lifetime. A lifetime for people.
It's like a miracle to have that theater.
Did anyone get 71? No way. Mary will go through the comments. We'll play Price is Right rules. Whoever got closest without going over 71 will win to be a Broadway star, and send us your address, and we will get there. Jen, thanks for being such a positive source of inspiration for us, and ray of sunshine, as you often are. And good luck with the book.
Thanks.
Everyone out there, go to Amazon or just Google Untold Stories of Broadway. Get all 3 volumes that are out there. Why not? Pick up all 3. You've got time to read them all. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'm looking for another link because I've got another little fun surprise for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to give to the Actors Fund. Don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay the heck home. Mary, I'm going to throw another link for everyone. We did a really fun, actually, I didn't even do it at all. This is my good friend and Mark Allen's good friend and fantastic actor named Ryan Duncan, who is in Getting the Band Back Together. He did one of the funniest things in the show. I can say that because really I had nothing to do with it. He improvised a moment in rehearsal one day and we just went crazy with it and let him just go to town. He did it. It was this bit in Act 2 called Nick Styler. And we just let him run, and he created one of the funniest moments in the show. He has done it as he had to also raise some money for the Actors Fund. He's recreated it. He's put it online. Go. That's a link to my blog, which has been corrected. We had a little typo about Pennsylvania versus New Jersey. I've already gotten hate mail from New Jersey. It's been fixed. Go watch that video. It'll put a smile on your face. You'll have a good time with it, especially those of you who saw Getting the Band Back Together. If you didn't, this is a little peek at what it was like. Tomorrow we have Alan freaking Cumming. Speaking of Studio 54, Alan Cumming. Tomorrow, I produced his one-man Macbeth. Alan is always a treat wherever he goes and always an inspiration. Tune in for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for staying positive. We will see you tomorrow night. Enjoy that Ryan Duncan video. Thanks to Ryan for doing it. Thanks to all of you for being here. We'll see you next time.